My stepfather abandoned me in the hospital to go on vacation. I called my dad, and soon CPS was involved when my mother tried to force me to lie. Kevin, my stepfather, disgusts me. He is controlling, annoying, and disrespectful. And since he married my mother, my life has been upended. 3 years ago, my parents divorced, and although their relationship was filled with conflict, the separation wasn't a surprise. My mother, a stay-at-home parent, avoided household chores and instead spent time on her phone chasing an online following. She always seemed more interested in her own image than in me. After the divorce, I split my time between my parents. It took some adjustment, but just as I was settling in, my mother met Kevin. They were a whirlwind romance, and soon, Kevin was everywhere, intruding into every part of our life. If he were a kind person, I might have accepted him, but instead, he constantly overstepped boundaries. Kevin imposed ridiculous expectations on me. He tried to force me to treat him like a father, despite being nothing compared to my real one. He criticized my behavior, the way I dressed, even how I wore my hair. He made me feel suffocated, hovering over me when I had friends over. When I complained, my mother just brushed it off, claiming he was being protective. Things were worse with Kevin's sons, who bullied me and invaded my space. My mother dismissed their behavior, calling it normal sibling bonding. When my mom married Kevin, it was clear she expected me to just accept him, no questions asked. She pressured me to try, and I reluctantly agreed, but the tension only grew. I tried to adjust, but Kevin insisted I call him Dad, which never felt right. More than the name, I felt the shift in my mother's priorities. She began focusing more on Kevin's sons than on me, making me feel invisible. I longed to live with my dad, who was more understanding, but he had moved away for a new job. Still, we kept in touch. He was supportive, even trying to talk to my mom, but she shut him down every time. Then came the trip. Kevin had been promoted at work and planned a family vacation. A day before we were supposed to leave, I was in a car accident. I broke my arm and had a concussion. At the hospital, Kevin didn't seem concerned about me, only about the vacation he was about to lose money on. Kevin wanted my mother to leave me alone in the hospital, pushing her to go on the trip. He even told me at 15 I should be fine on my own. I begged my mother to stay, but she agreed with Kevin. She stayed for one night, then left, leaving me alone. It hurt more than anything. My dad, when he found out, was furious. He immediately came to the hospital and stayed by my side, making sure I wasn't alone. He confronted my mother about abandoning me, and soon CPS got involved. Kevin and my mom were questioned, and they had to face the consequences. Since then, I've been living with my dad. It's been a relief, a complete change from the tension and neglect I felt with my mother and Kevin. For the first time, I'm happy, I feel safe, and I'm free to be myself. Pushed me to lose weight for my sister's wedding, but after I succeeded, they couldn't stand it. I was always the heavier child. In kindergarten, I stood out for being bigger than most. As I grew, that difference became more apparent. By high school, I was undeniably overweight, and my body served as a constant reminder of how different I was. College didn't change much. While others found themselves, I was still caught up in my body's battles. Being the bigger kid wasn't easy. I was constantly mocked and ridiculed by classmates. Their harsh words and cruel jokes chipped away at my self-esteem, leaving me doubting who I was. I was often excluded, watching others participate in life while I stayed at a distance, unable to reach them. The bullying shaped how I saw myself and the world around me. To cope, I buried myself in books. They were my escape. Stories didn't judge me. They didn't mock me. My classmates started calling me the bookworm, a nickname I never liked, but it was all I had. Bonnie, my younger sister, was nothing like me. A year younger, she had this magnetic charm that drew everyone to her. She thrived in social settings while I remained reserved and shy. She was the sun in any room, and everyone gravitated toward her without effort. I admired her, and as her older sister, I felt a protective instinct over her. When she joined my high school, I was proud to be her sister, but as she settled into high school, something changed. She began noticing the difference between us, how I was treated versus how she was treated. While she was outgoing and popular, I was the quiet, awkward one. Gradually, Bonnie distanced herself. She found new friends, and I was left behind. I tried to respect her space,